Have you ever stopped to think about the last digit of your birth year? Yeah, that number that quietly shows up on your documents, your online profiles, or even in that old notebook stashed away in the back of a drawer. What could it mean? What if, behind that simple number, there was a secret, a deep sign about who you are and the journey you're meant to take? Imagine for a moment, what if everyone around you was being guided by a karmic fingerprint, hidden in this little symbol that almost nobody takes seriously? Who would you be if you saw the world and yourself from this angle? If this kind of question sparks your curiosity, then take a deep breath. This video will take you on a journey between the real and the invisible, blending psychology, spirituality, and a certain touch of mystery. Would you be willing to open this door to self-knowledge? Before we go on, stop. Answer in the comments. What's the last digit of your birth year, and what question would you like to see answered today about your own path? Like this video, subscribe if you believe nothing is by chance, and get ready, because maybe you'll never look at that simple number the same way again. Have you ever felt like certain things in your life keep repeating? That some challenges reappear, as if the universe is trying to tell you something? What would happen if an important clue to these patterns was in that last digit, so common and at the same time so mysterious? Listen, and notice that whisper of destiny. They say the devil is in the details, but the truth is, the deepest mysteries are too. Have you noticed how that last digit is always there, present in the most unsuspected places? You fill out forms, type your birth date, renew a document. At each step, this number appears, silent, almost invisible. Is it just a detail? Or is there a reason it's always hovering around your story? Think of an old family photo. Have you ever noticed the date scribbled on the back? Maybe the year ends with a 3, a 7, maybe a 0. And when your mom or grandma talks about the year they were born, she remembers the historical context, the political scenario, the events of the time. But the last digit, nobody mentions it, nobody reflects on it. What if, precisely there, lay a clue about secret patterns that repeat generation after generation? Who hasn't felt that sense of déjà vu in a situation that in some way seems to be on script for their own life? It's not uncommon for us to believe that forms, signs, and patterns are restricted to the extraordinary. However, it's in the ordinary, in the small things, that the most powerful messages are hidden. The last digit of your birth year is there, waiting to be deciphered. Reflect. Why were you born in exactly that year, with that final number? Coincidence or a disguised message? What if you could translate this symbol? What would it reveal about your essence, your opportunities, and even the life cycles that accompany you? If curiosity is the fuel of self-knowledge, now is the time to ask yourself, can small details illuminate great truths? Now imagine the universe left you a key. This key doesn't open physical doors, but it can unlock internal portals, your emotions, your anxieties, your forgotten dreams. The last digit of the year you were born could be this karmic portal. What is a karmic portal? Think of the concept of karma not as a punishment or reward, but as an energy of learning, an invitation to awareness about themes that need to be integrated and overcome. This number is not an infallible oracle, nor does it define your entire destiny, but it can point to lessons, tendencies, and obstacles that have been with you from the beginning. Have you noticed any emotional pattern that repeatedly challenges you? A constant fear, a desire that returns like an echo, relationships that seem to follow similar scripts? It could be that the last digit of your birth year has something to reveal about this. According to symbolic traditions and numerology practices, each number carries a vibration, a kind of energetic seal that resonates with specific themes. What changes in someone born in a year ending in 1, as opposed to someone born in 9? And what about those full years, 0, 5, so marked by turning points and historical changes? But don't be fooled. This number doesn't trap you in sterile repetitions. It functions more as a warning, a reminder, something that whispers behind the scenes of your life, pointing to important issues that await your attention and conscious gaze. Can you remember a cycle where everything seemed to spin and then restart? Or perhaps situations where the central theme was always the same, only the characters changing? Maybe your karmic portal is manifesting, asking you to look, question, transform. It's not about labels, but about clues. The true power lies in recognizing, not predicting. The famous psychologist Carl Gustav Jung said that life is guided by symbols. In fact, not only our lives, but all of human history is built on myths, archetypes, and images that cross us, consciously or not. Have you noticed how certain numbers, dreams, events, and even coincidences seem to repeat, as if the world speaks to us in a secret language? Jung called this synchronicity, that strange alignment of seemingly disconnected facts, but which carry a hidden meaning just for you. Why then do we despise the power of these symbols like the last digit of our birth year? Why do we approach everything so pragmatically, ignoring the universe's invitation to dive into our deepest history? For Jung, numbers are universal keys, living archetypes. They represent patterns that spring from the collective unconscious, that great universal mind we share as human beings. If numbers appear repeatedly, if coincidences mark our path, perhaps life itself is trying to tell us something, using the language of symbols. Think of a personal experience. Have you ever had that feeling that a certain number appears again and again at important moments? Have you ever been intrigued by significant dates or seen patterns repeat in the most amusing details of your routine? The last digit of your birth year can then be interpreted as one of these Jungian symbols, a personal archetype with which you were gifted to experience certain things, face certain challenges, and develop unique talents. The secret isn't to accept blindly, but to allow yourself to investigate. The symbol only has power when touched by consciousness. And you, are you ready to decipher this secret language? Do you feel that there's in fact something greater talking to you, silently, through numbers, through dreams, through the unique events of your journey? Have you ever felt that time is more than a continuous, uniform line? That it carries an energy, an atmosphere, that influences who we are from the first moment we're born? Think about it. The exact moment you came into the world isn't just a statistical fact. It's a blank page written in an energetic language, laden with cosmic, social, and spiritual events that intertwine to shape your journey. Imagine time as a classroom, an invisible classroom, where each year, each era represents a unique environment, with its own challenges, lessons, and opportunities. The year of your birth would be the entrance to that room, the space where your karmic contract begins to be drawn, where the synergy between the collective and the individual outlines the agenda of your mission here on Earth. But what does the last digit of that year have to do with this atmosphere? If we consider that the entire year carries a particular vibration, the last number would be like the digital signature of that vibration, a cipher that synthesizes the energetic tone of that period and the themes that will be especially significant in the lives of those who come into existence at that moment. For example, someone born in a year ending in 7, traditionally considered a spiritual number, may feel an early calling to inner seeking, to deep self-knowledge, and to facing invisible mysteries. The number carries with it a mark, a shadow, and a light that permeate the particular scenario of each trajectory. It's not a rigid prediction, but an invitation to look at the signs. It's like choosing a trail, knowing the forest has clearings and darkness. And in the midst of it all, you are called to perceive which echoes of that expanded universe are reflected in your own thoughts, emotions, and daily choices. Ask yourself now, what was the atmosphere of your year? What world, cultural, spiritual, or scientific events marked that period? Do you feel that any of these external forces also resonate within you? This conversation between time and soul can be the beginning of a deeper understanding of your origin, and above all, your purpose. If times and numbers carry energy, each final digit of the birth year would also be a symbol laden with millennial stories. They are not mere digits. They are codes that vibrate at an ancient frequency, full of myths, wisdoms, and teachings that cross civilizations. Let's slow down and look more closely at each of these numbers, because within them are contained messages, an invitation to understand what each person can carry in their soul contract. It's not about seeing a number in isolation, but about exploring its historical and spiritual resonance. 0, the end and the beginning. This number is paradoxical. It represents both the end of a cycle and the infinite potential of a new beginning. Those born in a year ending in 0 carry, in their essence, the impact of necessary endings, but also the sacred mission of renewal. 0 is the portal between worlds, the point where everything can transform. This energy is challenging as it requires courage to let the old die and accept the constant fluidity of existence. 1. The pioneer, symbol of leadership, initiative, and individuality. The year ending in 1 calls for those born in it to take responsibility for being the protagonist of their own story. But this strength can turn into isolation if not balanced with empathy and openness to the collective. The challenge is to transform I into we without losing authenticity. 2. The bridge, the number of diplomacy, sensitivity, and connection. Those with 2 as the final digit can be great mediators, capable of bringing ideas and people together. The energy of 2 demands patience and emotional balance as it carries the risk of getting lost in others' desires to please. 3. The communicator, represents creativity, expression, and joy. Those born in years ending in 3 bring a light spark to the world, but need to be careful not to escape difficulties through escapism or superficiality. 4. The builder. This number is synonymous with structure, stability, and discipline. Those born under this vibration are here to build solid foundations, but often face the challenge of freeing themselves from excessive rigidity or fear of change. The explorer, symbol of freedom, movement, and transformation. The last digit 5 attracts intense changes, adventures, and constant learning, but it can also mean restlessness and lack of direction if there's no focus. 6. The caregiver, carries the theme of responsibility, family love, and harmony. The challenge of this number lies in balancing caring for others without forgetting one's own well-being. 7. The seeker, linked to spirituality, introspection, and the pursuit of deep knowledge. Having the number 7 at the end can be a sign of a journey marked by inner discoveries and existential questions. 8. The achiever. This is the number of material power, prosperity, and ambition. The 8 demands wisdom to use its strength without being dominated by greed or arrogance. 9. The liberated. The 9 symbolizes compassion, altruism, and detachment. Having 9 as the final digit can mean the mission of dissolving selfishness and serving greater causes, often facing pains that lead to spiritual growth. These are, of course, symbols that carry strength, but also nuances and contradictions. What matters is to allow yourself to recognize these vibrations and see if they make sense in your personal map, not as a fixed destiny, but as themes that can guide your evolution. Think about the areas of your life where you feel the most intensity, in victories, in challenges, in patterns that seem to persist. Perhaps this number hides the root of these experiences. Now you might be asking, this is all very nice, but does this mean my future is written in this last number? Am I a hostage to a numeric code? The answer is, fortunately, no. What we propose here is something much more liberating. Karmic numerology, combined with psychology and spiritual philosophy, invites us to understand that the last digit of your birth year is not a fixed destiny, but an invitation to recognize karmic patterns, ancient lessons that the soul chose to work on in this incarnation. Imagine that your soul contract is like a map, but a map you can only read well when you are aware of its marks, curves, and dangers. The number at the end of the year indicates some routes, but you have the freedom to choose the path, the rhythm, and the way you will cross these landscapes. The true power lies in bringing to consciousness what was on autopilot. What you repeated without understanding, be it an emotional pattern, a type of relationship, or a way of dealing with the world. When you recognize these themes, the energy ceases to be a prison and transforms into a lever for growth. Instead of being afraid of karma or the past, take the tool of symbolic numerology as a mirror. It will show you reflections of yourself that were previously hidden, limits that can be surpassed, and talents that can be awakened. And do you know what the biggest invitation is? That you take the reins of your own journey. Being aware of your karmic number is, therefore, more than curiosity. It's a step towards becoming an active agent of your destiny. Now think, what insight did this reflection bring you? What old pattern is it time to look at with curious eyes without judgment and transform? This is the moment to open yourself to a deep understanding of what truly moves you, which may be hidden in your silent stories, in your emotional recesses, and, yes, even in that seemingly simple, but absolutely powerful last digit. Have you ever stopped to notice how certain patterns repeatedly show up in your life? Maybe you've experienced relationships that always seem to follow the same script, professional challenges that repeat in different ways, or even personality traits you can't fully understand, but that are there, firm and constant. These patterns are often direct reflections of the energy contained in the last digit of your birth year, that true karmic fingerprint that influences your daily experiences, the emotions you feel, and the lessons you are meant to learn. Let's imagine some practical examples to make this clearer. Suppose you were born in a year ending in 4. As we've seen, the number 4 is associated with structure, discipline, and stability. Perhaps in your life, you tend to be a very dedicated person at work, concerned with building solid foundations for the future. However, this same number can indicate a challenge, rigidity, fear of change, and difficulty dealing with the unexpected. You might constantly find yourself in environments, whether at work or in personal relationships, where you need to be the rock, the pillar, the great supporter of others. This initially seems like a fantastic quality, but is there an internal wear and tear? Do you allow yourself to rest, be flexible, or even reinvent yourself without fear? Another example, if your year ends in 7, there's probably a deep search for meaning and self-knowledge within you. This energy brings an invitation to delve into the mysteries of your own soul, to question what lies beyond the superficial and traditionally acceptable in society. However, this can lead to isolation. After all, the outside world sometimes doesn't understand those who live with their gaze turned inward. How many times have you felt a sense of disconnection, as if you were an old soul, lost in an era that values pragmatism and materialism? Recognizing this characteristic in your number helps you accept that these feelings are part of your journey and not a flaw to be hidden. People with the number 9, for example, carry intense vibrations of compassion and altruism. They may find themselves involved in social causes, charity, humanitarian aid, or feel a constant urgency to contribute to a better world. At the same time, this mission can bring pain, suffering, and the challenge of detachment, because they give a lot and expect little in return. Reflect. Do you feel that any of these descriptions touch sensitive points in your story? Is this last number in some way indicating the plot behind your attitudes, choices, and challenges? The biggest step you can take today is to allow yourself to observe these patterns without judgment, with the curiosity of an investigator of your own soul. Notice the repetitions, the moments when you seem to step into the same hole, and above all, the moments when you manage to free yourself from these ties, even if for a short time. By doing so, the number ceases to be just a digit and becomes a living map, a concrete tool for you to navigate the complex waters of your existence with more awareness and lightness. How about we prepare your mind for an even deeper dive now? Each number from 0 to 9, as we've seen, is a door that opens to unique themes, challenges, gifts, and lessons. Each carries a specific energy that resonates with stories that, in many cases, cross centuries, cultures, and traditions. At this moment, you don't need to memorize concepts or formulas. The proposal is different: to awaken in you the perception that the cycle of life and evolution passes through these numerical patterns, and that understanding the language of each of them can be a compass for your personal transformation. Imagine each number as a character in a great epic, each with its own mission, its fears, and its points of light. Some are warriors, others wise. Some are entrepreneurs, others healers. No path is better or worse, because all contribute to the balance of the universe. The more you observe this multiplicity, the more you realize that life is not a straight line, but a rich and complex tapestry, where each thread has its place and purpose. And the last digit of your birth year is often one of those special threads that tangle, but also give color and texture to your story. This video series will explore each number carefully and deeply, revealing the nuances that can make all the difference in your self-knowledge process. We want each of these episodes to be like a mirror that reflects on you, not to limit you, but to expand your possibilities. I ask at this moment, are you willing to embark on this journey, prepared to discover the hidden meanings in this small number and see how it speaks to your experiences, your pains, and your achievements? Feel this call deep in your chest, this restlessness that often has no name but asks for attention. Perhaps this moment is your call to look inward, to unveil without haste what has remained hidden until now. We've reached a crucial point in our conversation. Up until now, you've been invited to look at the last digit of your birth year from a new perspective, one that combines self-knowledge, ancestral symbols, and deep wisdom about life cycles. But the journey doesn't end here. In fact, it's just beginning. Now it's your turn to act. Discovering your karmic number, the one that carries the pulse of your journey, is the first step. But the most important thing is to reflect. What patterns do you recognize? What themes appear frequently in your story? How can you use this awareness to transform difficulties into learnings? We want you to be the protagonist of this story. So I ask you to pause for a moment and write in the comments what the last digit of your birth year is, and share what reflection this video awakened in you. Your experience can help other people seeking the same understanding, creating a network of support, curiosity, and growth. Also, if you like this content, don't forget to leave your like. Your support is essential for us to continue bringing rich, deep videos that truly touch people. And subscribe to the channel to not miss the next episodes, where we will explore in detail the meaning of each number, bringing practical tools for you to apply in life and in your soul. If you want to delve even deeper, we have a special ebook that complements this series, with reflection exercises, inspiring stories, and symbolic maps to guide your journey. This is a collective journey. You are not alone. The awakening begins with the courage to look inward, recognize what needs to be transformed, and share so that others also awaken. So action. Discover your number, recognize your light and your shadows, and allow yourself to grow. See you in the next videos to continue this deep conversation we're building together. Because in the end, what truly matters is the connection between what we feel, what we are, and what we choose to be from now on.